Yo, what's up, all of you beautiful people? Today, I want to share with you a DM that I got from a follower. It was a very awesome DM. There's a lot to it. I'm not going to unpack all of it, but there was a couple of things that he shared with me that he's learned so far from consuming the content. And I've told you guys this before, that I don't want this just to be a one-way monologue, me just talking at you. I want this to be a relationship, an engagement, a conversation. And so find me on Instagram. That's at the Anthony Vicino, or Twitter. That's at Anthony Vicino. Find me on these platforms. Shoot me a DM. I read them all, and I do my best to respond to them all. Unless you're weird and you're coming at me with really weird requests, and then I'm going to ignore it. But come be a natural, normal human being, and let's have a conversation. And so this one, there was a lot of preamble to this, but he summarized three things that he's taken away, and I just wanted to walk through them, because I think it's often that we don't need to learn new things. It's more about just remembering. So it's not about new, it's about remembering what we already know we should do. So repeating ourselves and repetition is key to learning. So number one, he says, it is pretty simple. Don't make it complicated unless you have to. Exactly. As Alex Hormozy says, simple scales, fancy fails. Almost always, when we complicate things, we are doing it in an attempt to obfuscate the fact that we are not actually being effective. Okay, that's a really convoluted way of saying that, but let me say it again. Complexity obscures effectiveness. What I mean by that is when we over-fixate on creating the perfect, beautiful, elegant system with all the softwares that are interconnected and they're doing all these really cool, complex things behind the scenes, we become slaves to that machine and trying to tinker and perfect it so that it can do the thing even better, when in reality, the simple system that's just written down on a piece of paper, or just one simple email, or like very simple to follow and execute and implement, is probably going to be more successful in the long run than the overly complicated, elegant solution. And the reason for that is because complications increase the likelihood of failure. I'm not saying that it won't do the thing ultimately that you want it to do, but there's so many more vulnerability points in the machine that can go catastrophically wrong. The simpler your system is, the fewer points of potential failure. So focus on simple, forget complex. Number two, he says, it is much easier to focus on doing something good enough than doing it perfect. And he shared that that's helped him a lot to stop comparing his results in particular to others, which is huge, because we all get into this comparisonitis game where we're looking across at what other people are doing, and if they're further along in the game in terms of their skill or their ability to do the thing, then you're going to look at yourself and be like, why do I suck so much? But if you just focus on becoming good enough at, the core stuff that you need to get done, and then over time slowly improving through iteration and shots on goal, then eventually you will get to that point where others are now looking at you and thinking, man, how did you get so damn good at that thing? How did she become so fantastic? I wish I had that ability. And so when we fixate on being great at something or becoming the best, it's really, perfectionism is really just an excuse for procrastination. It's just another form of procrastination. And I can't remember who said it. This might have been Steve Jobs, but he said, real artists ship. And I think we are all artists. It's not about painting and music. It's everything that you do in life. What you do is an expression of your art. If you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, if you're working at Dairy Queen, everything that you do is an opportunity to express the art that is your work. And so within that work, focusing on doing it good enough to be able to present it to the world in all of its ugly glory is far, far better than just keeping it in the closet because it's not quite ready yet, not quite ready yet, it's not quite there yet. We all know those people who've been writing that novel for the last 20 years, and it's not quite ready yet, not quite ready yet. And the truth is, it's never going to be ready. It's never going to be ready. So you might as well just put it out there and be done with it. A really good story I heard recently, I don't know if this is true, but somebody was telling me that The Hobbit, written by J.R.R. Tolkien, he did not actually submit that for publication. One of his coworkers broke into his office after many, many years and stole it and submitted it on his behalf because he had just been dragging his feet, hemming and hawing, and not actually submitting it. Turns out to be one of the greatest stories ever told. So there you go. You probably got something better than you think sitting in your closet. I don't know, maybe you don't. but you'll never know unless you put it out there. So, number 3, he says storytelling is an important way of communication. He says he's currently practicing this skill by recording himself telling a story and then revising that. When it doesn't work how he thought it should, he then looks it up. This is beautiful. I love this. This gives me like so many happy feelings because storytelling, yes, is the most important form of communication. That's how humans process information. It's how we remember things. It's how we interact with the world. We're constantly creating stories. So the ability to create narratives and then deliver them in compelling ways is one of those life skills that is going to set you so far ahead of your competition. It's ridiculous. Problem is, we are excellent at critiquing stories. We've been consuming them in our entire lives, but many of us, unless we've sat down with intention to practice and understand the mechanics of story, we maybe struggle to tell a compelling story. And so what ends up happening then, we're at the party, we're with our friends, we start telling the story, it doesn't land how we thought it should, nobody laughs, we feel shitty, we shut up, we don't tell the stories in the future, we just take it to mean that we're a bad storyteller, and we just then feel bad about ourselves, and we never think to go and keep developing that skill. But as this gentleman points out, actually I don't know if he's a gentleman, it might be a lady, I'm sorry if you are, and I assumed your gender here. I'm just saying that because 80% of my audience is male, looking at the demographics, so just playing the odds on this one. But I love the focus on putting in the reps, recording yourself, and then watching yourself with intention and saying, why didn't this work how I thought it would? What didn't I do? What's wrong with this? I think that is a beautiful path to mastery. I have no other way of putting it. It's beautiful. So really appreciate this person, I'm not going to say their name, for reaching out, for sharing these. It's awesome. Hopefully in sharing them with you, this has brought you a little bit of value and it's helping you take another step down that path towards your greatness. And as always, guys and gals, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing you back around these parts tomorrow. Until then, stay hyper-focused, my friend.